Teacher talking sports, what it does, what it do, how we living. It's been a while since I've done this series. Actually, the last guy I did was Michael Cooper. I said no. Apparently, um, the Basketball Hall of Fame committee disagreed as Michael Cooper got put in the Hall of Fame. But yes, the series is called Is He a Hall of Famer? Where I take a look at a player whose career is near the end or has ended, take a look at their career, give my final opinion as to whether or not I think they belong in the Hall of Fame. Really, just guys that are on the fence. I'm not going to do videos on the obvious choices, but I have all of them in a playlist, not just NBA. So you could check them out. I think this will be the 35th one I've done. Of course, the NBA Finals currently going on. Celtics went for the sweep last night. Instead, they got blown out by the Dallas Mavericks. So the Mavericks are still alive. So actually, in this video, we're going to take a look at a long-time Maverick. And again, at the end, I'd like to know your thoughts in the comments. Should this player be in the Hall of Fame? And that player is forward Mark Aguirre. Now, Aguirre was the first overall pick in the 1981 NBA draft by the Dallas Mavericks. He would go on to play his first 7 full seasons with the Mavericks and about half of the eighth season until he was traded to the Detroit Pistons. Now, he was traded for Adrian Dantley, I think, and a first round pick. Adrian Dantley, of course, is in the Hall of Fame. So Dantley would play the rest of that 88-89 season with the Pistons and the following 4 seasons with them as well. His final season came in the 93-94 season with the Clippers. Let's take a look at his basketball reference page for his career numbers. So, all in all, Dantley played in 923 games over 13 seasons, averaged exactly 20 points per game, 5 rebounds, 3.1 assists, solid field goal percentage at 48.4, 3-point percentage 31.2, but of course, played in an era where the 3-point shot was far less prevalent, a 74.1 free throw percentage, a per of 19, pretty solid. Let's take a look at his per game averages. So, yes, he made 3 All-Star teams with Dallas. Was a very good scorer with the Mavericks. He is the franchise's third all-time leading scorer, only behind, of course, Dirk Nowitzki and then Rolando Blackman. But from 82-83 to 87-88, all those seasons he averaged over 20 points per game and really at least 22.6 in each. The 83-84, he averaged a career high of 29.5, and that also came on a career high field goal percentage of 52.4. So it was an efficient scorer as well that season. Surprisingly, never finished top 10 in MVP voting. You see, he had 3 seasons where he received votes and finishes of 11th, 14th, and 15th. Those were his All-Star seasons. And also never an All NBA. And I don't understand how he didn't make it in that 83-84 season, not even an All NBA third team. Because it's not like it's not like he was putting up numbers on a bad Dallas team. Actually, if we look at that 83-84 season, they went, 43-39 and ended up losing in the Western Conference semifinals. But they were a playoff team. So, made one Western Conference Finals with the Mavericks. The Lakers were just an unstoppable team throughout the 80s, so Dallas had to run into them a lot. Of course, as I mentioned, he got traded to the Pistons. Now, he definitely had to sacrifice some of his scoring numbers once he went to Detroit, but he also won 2 championships. You see those gold circles next to the 88-89 and 89-90 seasons. Part of their 2 championship teams. So, yes, scoring average is not as high. Actually, was mostly a reserve in the second championship season as the Worm, Dennis Rodman, was getting more playoff time, but still was a key piece, playing about half the games when you total both playoff runs. And even with Dallas, Yes, they only made one Western Conference Finals, but he averaged 23 points per game in 45 playoff games with Dallas and shot 49.2% from the field, which is basically what he shot with Dallas in the regular season. When actually saw his rebound totals improve greatly. So all in all, 48.4% from the field, but 49.2% with Dallas. Last season with the Clippers, they weren't a good team. He was still putting up over 10 points a game coming off the bench, but they ended up releasing him in February of that year. So we take a look at his career numbers. So in the 13 seasons, again, he totaled 18,548 points, which ranks him 72nd in league history. We also take a look. Basketball Reference has something called Hall of Fame probability. Let me see if they describe it a little better. So, what statistics? We tried to use as many predictor variables as we could. Player awards, sustained effectiveness as measured by appearances on leaderboards, and peak dominance all have explanatory value. So that's basically part of it. But as you see, Aguirre was only at an 8.2% probability according to Basketball Reference. Now, let me state that it's definitely an imperfect measure. I think Bill Walton had something, according to Basketball Reference, a 2% chance of making the Hall of Fame because, he played so few games besides his MVP season, his final MVP season. Really didn't play a lot of games, but he's a guy who's been on the top 50 and top 75 all time player lists. So again, imperfect, but Basketball Reference doesn't think too highly of his Hall of Fame probability. But you also have to keep in mind it's the Basketball Hall of Fame, not just NBA, so that encapsulates everything basketball rating related, including college. You see his 3 seasons with DePaul. 24 and a half points per game, 7.9 rebounds. Was named the Naismith College Basketball Player of the Year once, a 2-time All American. As I mentioned, the first pick overall in the draft. Also led DePaul to a Final Four. So I think that definitely strengthens his case. His last full season with Dallas. I'm sorry, he left during the 88-89 season. So we take a look at Dallas's year by year numbers. So they had a good season the following year, 89-90, but they fell off a cliff after that. Were one of the league's worst teams and really didn't become a playoff team again until Dirk Nowitzki was in his third or fourth season. So some of his teammates, ex teammates with Dallas, had some things to say about him. I know one of them mentioned like "Good luck Pistons." Well, yeah, good luck Pistons. They won 2 championships with them, as he definitely sacrificed numbers, and of course the superstar of those Pistons teams, Isaiah Thomas, had something to say about it. So. This is via Basketball Network. Isaiah Thomas shares how Mark Aguirre sacrificed a Hall of Fame career to help the Detroit Pistons win NBA titles. So it's just a brief quote, but kind of encapsulates what Thomas thinks. So Pistons captain Isaiah Thomas could not have said it better about his former teammate. We never would have won a championship if Mark Aguirre doesn't come to our team, said Thomas. Aguirre basically flushed down the toilet a Hall of Fame career to be a champion. Well, I mean, should it affect his Hall of Fame chances that he went to a team where he was no longer going to score 20 plus points per contest, but helped guide them to 2 championships? Should he really be punished for that? Or should it be celebrated that he was willing to sacrifice, which it seemed like some of his Dallas teammates didn't quite think he would? Um, and, he was the star player on those Dallas teams, and they had some good teams. So, I'm not quite sure um, why his jersey's not retired. Dallas did not retire his jersey. They did retire Rolando Blackman and Derek Harper, but not Aguirre. Not in Hall of Fame. I think it's an awesome website. It actually ranks Aguirre as the 10th best player not in the Hall of Fame. Mentions how he was a star at the University of DePaul, became the face of the Mavs, proved to be a great scorer, couldn't get past the mighty Lakers, traded to the Pistons, reunited with Isaiah Thomas, led the Pistons to two titles, averaged exactly 20 points a game over his 14-year career, and he will be remembered for his great ability to post up and score from the small forward position. So, um, they ask, should Mark Aguirre be put in the Hall of Fame? 77% said definitely put him in. And it's not like it's only 40 people who voted. I think I saw it was 443 votes. So, um, all in all, seems like more people than not believe that Aguirre should be in the Hall of Fame. Although, again, it's not the hugest sample size. But in the end, what are my thoughts? Should Mark Aguirre be enshrined into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame? I have to say yes. I think his career, um, fairly similar to an Adrian Dantley or an Alex English in that they were great scorers. Maybe you could say a Dantley was a little bit better because he won two scoring titles. Alex English, I don't think he won any scoring. No, he did win a scoring title as well. 8-time All Star. Aguirre's a little bit light on the accolades. Just three All Star teams, no All NBAs. And that's part of why I said Michael Cooper shouldn't be in, although Cooper had zero All Star appearances and zero All NBAs. But I think Aguirre deserved more accolades, and again, college counts, and he was maybe the best college player in the early 80s. So, since we take that into effect, led him to a Final Four, Naismith Player of the Year, I think that gets him in. And, the two titles with the Pistons, just the icing on the cake. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe Mark Aguirre should be in the Hall of Fame? Anyhow, don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.